It is a great joy to be able to return to Africa at last. I want to express my sincere gratitude to President Ramaphosa. We embarked on a path that repeated the austerity recipe as an end in itself, which deepened inequalities and which expanded by 10%. Now, protectionism and unilateralism are re-emerging as easy and fallacious answers to the complexity of our current reality. Their effects only exacerbate the problems that we are facing. Almost 700 million people still suffer from hunger.
The very functioning of the G20 as a body for the dialogue and coordination is threatened. It is essential to preserve this forum's capacity to address the major issues of our time. If we are not able to find a path within the G20, it will not be possible to do so in a world ablaze. I welcome the approval of this summit's leaders' declaration. The historical, social, and economic problems of Latin America and the Caribbean will not be solved by the threat of using force. Without addressing the needs of developing countries, it will not be possible to re-establish global balance.
Nor can they ensure a prosperity that is truly sustainable in the long run. At the very same time, however, there is a negative flow of capital, which flows from the nations of the global south to the wealthy nations of the global north. The very existence of the countries of the global south,
it is ethically unacceptable and economically unsustainable. Almost half of the world's population
lives in countries that spend more on servicing their debt than on healthcare or education, built by leaders like Nelson Mandela and those who preserve their heritage.
Course cancellation.
We are now entering a new phase that will demand simultaneous effort on two fronts: accelerating actions to combat climate change and preparing for a new climate reality. The G20 plays a pivotal role in both. The group is responsible for 10% of global emissions. It is from the G20 that a new economic model must emerge. The group plays a crucial role in developing a roadmap to transition the world away from fossil fuels. However, for approximately half of the global population, climate change is not merely a simple question of environmental policy. It is, first and foremost, an economic planning challenge. The priorities are completely reversed. It's inconceivable we can't mobilize $1.3 trillion for climate finance, while double that amount is spent on military expenses. Strengthening disaster prevention and response capacity is a matter of life and death.
This marks the G20's inaugural acquisition from the African continent. The G20 has the capacity to safeguard food supply chains through various initiatives, such as public procurement and comprehensive rural insurance schemes. It can also provide remuneration for those who actively preserve forests, utilizing the Tropical Forest Forever Fund, which was officially launched at COP30.
A truly just transition will only occur if the G20 leads the way. With the unified African presidency, all of our countries.
President Trump didn't come, but he will have to preside over the next G20 in the United States. And he will be present, and all of us will go there to honor the G20. The absence of a leader means nothing for the G20. It means nothing, because the G20 are the 20 largest economies in the world, and I think the G20 today is the main forum for multilateral decision and has more respectability in the entire economy.
The United States' presence in the Caribbean was discussed at the G20 Summit.
President Trump has been demonstrating this for several months now. He has already withdrawn from UNESCO. He has already withdrawn from the World Trade Organization. He's trying to practically advocate, for the end of multilateralism, trying to strengthen unilateralism. And I believe that multilateralism will prevail.
Do you think the declaration was adopted without the US being present?
I'm worried because South America is considered a zone of peace. We're a continent that doesn't have, nuclear weapons. We don't have atomic bombs. We have nothing at all. Our business here is to work to develop and grow.
That was a point where you invested significant political energy.
I am very much concerned by the military apparatus the United States has positioned in the Caribbean Sea. It truly worries me a great deal. And I intend to talk to President Trump about this because it's concerning me. Brazil has a responsibility in South America. Brazil borders Venezuela, and that's no small matter. And I think there's no sense in having a war right now. In other words, we must not repeat the grave error that occurred in the war between Russia and Ukraine. To begin, all it takes is just one single shot.
Jair Bolsonaro had an arrest warrant issued against him. I'd like to know what your reflections were upon being informed of this news and the particular circumstances surrounding it, including the attempt to disable his electronic ankle monitor.
He underwent a trial. He was afforded every right to the presumption of innocence. There were practically 2.5 years of investigation and of informant testimony of the trial. So in other words, justice has decided, it's settled. He will serve the sentence that the court determined, and everyone knows what he did.
One moment.
That has nothing to do with it. I think Trump needs to know that we are a sovereign country, that our justice decides, and what is decided here, is decided.
For you, what's the solution to maintain vitality, keep the G20 alive?
Or to Brasilia, or to Foz do Iguaçu, or even in Brasilia, to sign the Mercosur European Union agreement, which I believe will be signed on December 20th.
Is there a guarantee that this agreement will be signed and will still be signed during your mandate as president of the Mercosur group?
We have scheduled a bilateral discussion. I will be personally present in Hanover at the world's most significant industrial trade fair. I will be there in Hanover to conclusively prove that our domestic fuel, our specific diesel oil, and our gasoline product emits a substantially lower amount of CO2 compared to their fuel. I'm going to do a test there. I've already challenged Mercedes-Benz, that we're going to prove that Brazil's fuel emits less CO2 than the fuel of other countries.
Thanks for participating. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.